New Zealand First Leader Winston Peters has held an insult-laden media conference this afternoon, lashing out at the media for our election coverage, but he did confirm his party would have a decision about any deal by October the 12th and that New Zealand First would consult its membership over the next 24 hours. Mr Peters says the negotiations won't start in earnest until the final result is announced on October 7th. But he may speak to Labour's Jacinda Ardern and National's Bill English before then. As our political editor, Jane Patterson, reports, Mr Peters was in no mood for questions upon his arrival in Wellington.
Mr Peters, can you clarify...
I'm here to talk to my colleague, all right?
Can you clarify the significance of specials in terms of the negotiating that might happen at that point?
You can ask all the questions you like, you're not going to get one answer right now.
Also arriving in Wellington was Shane Jones bearing gifts for his caucus.
Yes, this is Spirits Bay kaimoana, crayfish. I don't know which is which. One is female and one is male.
Is one for Winston and one for Bill, or?
No, one's rations for the soldiers and the other is a tribute to Caesar.
A former Labour MP and Minister, Mr Jones is now a list MP for New Zealand First. One of the issues on the table for negotiations will be a referendum on the future of the Māori seats, as advocated by his new party. Mr Jones was asked for his view on the Māori seats, given he remains on the Māori roll and once stood in the Māori electorate of Tamaki Makaurau.
All discussions pertaining to the future of our Māori seats, which, as you know, I'm still a member of, that lies with Winston, the team, and the inevitable coalition discussions.
Who did you vote for in Te Tokoro?
That's between God and me.
He was also asked if he'd be seeking a ministerial position in any new government.
No, too early for such... too early and too treacherous for a response to such suggestions.
His New Zealand First colleague Tracy Martin says she does not expect real talks about forming a government to happen until after the special votes are counted on October the 7th. And she says no single party has a so-called moral mandate to form a government.
This is MMP, and and I think, to put it in perspective, Germany's not expecting to get a government till Christmas. So, I don't think we're going to be here waiting till Christmas.
Meanwhile, the Labour leader Jacinda Ardern was out and about today at a school for teenage parents near Wellington, but she's still very much focused on the talks that will happen over the coming weeks.
What we'll be making sure when we go into those negotiations, we're taking them incredibly seriously, doing the preparatory work before we go in, but also leaving space for Mr Peters and also for the Green Party to do the work they need to do alongside their colleagues.
After a caucus meeting at Parliament this afternoon, Mr Peters called a media conference in the Beehive Theaterette.
We first of all forswore as a group of MPs to ensure that we didn't put our own personal views from the leader to the most newest member of caucus above the interests of the party and above the interests of the country. That's what I said on election night, and that's what we're going to do. I want to tell you that we're not going to be persuaded or dissuaded by any of the speculative drivel that's been written by some of you.
Then he turned his attention to the media.
And all I'm asking for is a bit of understanding, rather than the tripe that some people are putting out, malicious, malignant, and vicious in the extreme of the nature which they were doing before the election without me being there, and now they've continued it on. Well, why would you ask a question like that? I'm still asking you, I know you'd like to know the answer, but why on earth would you ask a question like that? It is a totally unreasonable question. Well, I'm asking you, why would we have the discussion, and you can't tell me? Look, the term bottom line was your phrase during the whole election. You kept it up day in, day out. It wasn't New Zealand First phrase. It's the kind of misrepresentation that one has to live with. But we survived, I have to tell you, we survived okay.
Throughout the course of the media conference, Mr Peters did confirm his party would stick to the deadline it signalled before the campaign, Thursday 12th of October, return of the writ. He said party members would be consulted over the next few days, but the Constitution does not require an endorsement from the membership once a deal has been struck. Mr Peters says his party does have certain positions that are non-negotiable, but would not say what they were or detail any policy priorities. He said he would not be holding another media conference until after special votes have been counted. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Jane Patterson.